All right, so we're recording. We started recording the meeting just for the brothers. We haven't missed much, but we started the meeting at 5:05 p.m. and now we have approved the agenda. So we are now moving on to the next part. So, brothers, I always like to start with how are you doing? How are you feeling? So you this week, how are you above the line? Or are you below the line? If you're hearing this for the first time, that means, you're at a place where, you can deal with things and things are okay. Or are you today feeling like, I might need some extra, time for me just so I can figure things out. And that's okay either way. Well, I can share. I think that I am trying to hold on to the line. It's like the wind is blowing. Something might blow up, might blow down, but all things considered, I'm feeling quite blessed that I can at least hold on to the line. So if there isn't anyone else that wants to share, this is always challenged by choice. If you want to reach out to any of us, if you have someone you need someone to talk to, please reach out to us. We'd be happy to connect. All right. Now I'm certain the good Reverend Brother Dobson knew I was going to call on him, so I'm sure he was prepared with the word for today. What is the word, Brother Reverend?
Today's word, brothers, good evening to everyone. Today's is set the day with intention. One of my friends posts this on his social media almost every day with whatever it is that has motivated him that day. And finally, I asked him why, like what is this about? And he's a doctoral, he's a professor, and so he does. I guess some of his research led him down this path where it talked about you can spend your day being very accomplished, but not actually achieving anything you set out to do. And he said he uses it as a reminder to himself to be very specific about what he wants to accomplish in that day, and to then let let that really guide his decision making as he moves throughout the day. And I think that's particularly poignant as we get towards the holiday season and you're pulled a million different ways. There's tons of stuff going on. To really be intentional about where you spend your time. And there's a lot to be said around what that can do in terms of your productivity and how you're able to grow and flourish as a person. Storm agrees. So,
Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Brother Dobson. All right, brothers, we're going to keep it moving. So we have 29 financial members in the chapter, so that's a very exciting piece. We have two brothers that are transferring to the chapter, and so I'll hold on announcing them until we officially get them into the chapter, because I want to make sure they're super efficient. We get all that cleared away, but we're growing, and that's an exciting feeling, especially because a couple of these brothers have not been active for a while. So I'm always glad when a brother wants to come back home to Sigmund and make our chapter their home. So please keep looking for brothers so that we can get them re-engaged. I looked in the chat. I do not see any visiting brothers. So, of course, a member survey and our rules of order, they're available on the agenda as well. Approval of minutes. These are the minutes from the October meeting. No, no. My Canva is just not updating today. Give me a moment. So if you click on the agenda, you will actually see the minutes for the October meeting. I just did not update them here, so that's my bad. I apologize.
Move that we accept the minutes.
second.
It's been properly moved by Brother Davis and second by Brother Dobson that we approve the minutes, the October meeting minutes. Are there any unreadiness? I don't see any, seeing none. I now call for the questions. All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
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 Opposed have this by saying nay. And the motion passes. We approve the minutes for October 2025. Officer report. Just two things, because they were on my report last week. The blood drive. I spoke with Brother Davis, and we had some surprise adjustment in staffing. So we're now back to just waiting to get somebody to help us out. So he started that proper paperwork, but paperwork, it takes some time to clear. So if we can't get the blood drive in the fall, we'll certainly shoot to see how we can get it going in the spring. Also, if you get a chance, there's the minutes for our e-board meeting in October. And so for the brothers, once again, we provide this for you so that you know what your e-board is talking about, because we do believe in that transparency piece. All right, now I'm turning it over to our first vice, who will now provide his report.
Yep. A couple quick updates. Next slide. As Brother President said, we are at 29 brothers, which is exciting. I look forward to this report each month just to see how we're growing. Even one brother a month is a huge step forward for us, and so the brothers are doing the work. It's important that when we, as brothers, share on social media what we're doing, people are watching. And I spent some years as a salesperson. I was never the pushy person. I was always the one who's going to show you what's out there, and eventually it's going to match up with where you want to be. And that's my approach. So anything that we do, make sure that we showcase it, because there's somebody looking for it, and they're looking for that consistency that our chapter provides. So next slide. Just want to do a quick update. We had a few brothers out for the Blue Tuesday event at Koval Distillery. Gives us a good opportunity for us just to get together, just as brothers in general. But we did have two guests join us as well. We had a great conversation over at Koval. That's like our unofficial home base. Myself and Brother Dobson, I believe, we had a moment to chat with one of the managers there, and we talked about the possibility of hosting our Blue Tuesday events there, just kind of on a regular basis. And the manager there was excited about that possibility because Tuesdays are typically slow. So we did set the expectation that we're not looking to rent the space. We're looking to bring our people there. They will spend money at the bar. We're not looking for a split of the profits, at least at this point. We're not looking for any form of arrangement. We're just looking for a place to convene a few times a year. The location's right, the parking's right, the vibe's right. And so they're excited about that possibility of us doing it again. So that gives us another opportunity to promote Blue Tuesday bigger and better now that we've officially talked to them. It's that cautious piece of, trying to see who's going to be there and what the vibe's going to be like. But we'll follow up and we'll figure out when can we get the next one out there, and then we can be a bit more formal and a bit more aggressive with our marketing for it. Had a great time with the brothers there. If you haven't been, they only serve beer and liquor, but you can bring food inside. So there's a taco place next door, Mexican restaurant next door. There's a few other establishments around. You can bring your food in there. So we will encourage brothers next time and our guests that they can stop, bring food, and bring it inside of Koval. So we had a good time there at that event. Next slide. Just a quick reminder. I think everybody on the roster, we're good. If you want to share this with with folks in your network that may be considering a new home for Sigma, just share this with them. I'm not gonna go over it for you all because I believe everybody is on this call is already financial. So just remind them that that window is shutting on the Come Back Home initiative. So if you have any questions, please reach out to me about that. Next slide. Quick reminder, we talked about this at our last meeting where we were talking about the brothers to have their MIP certification or recertification completed by December 6th. So that's just over a month away from now. And if you skip to the next slide, I pulled the report. MIP certifications are good for 1 year. And so if you look at this this sheet here shows you when everybody received their certification. So essentially, everybody will need to be recertified by the time we start MIP for the spring. So we want to have everybody completed either with the initial certification or their recertification by December 6th because we want to get our application or our request for MIP in by December 15th before the holidays and that crazy rush. So, brothers, if you all, if we want to set up some time and meet again like we did before, we can do that. Or if you just want to chip away at this, the certification does take a little bit of time. For me, it's easier to just block the time and just get it done. But I know people have different commitments and ways that they do things, so you may want to chip away. But we can figure out what works best. So I'm looking forward to finally be on the recertification side, so I can just do those updates. But I think that's most of the brothers on the vast majority of this list. So we're finally eligible for that recertification piece. And I think that next slide, I think that might be it for me. Yep, that's it for me. MIP is the focus and bringing brothers back into the fold, and you'll hear more about that as we continue to move forward.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Brother Davis. Next we have our second vice president.
Nothing much from me, Brother President, other than to say that Brother Miller and I had talked about relaunching the coat drive for this winter. Brother Miller, I don't know if you want to say anything about that.
Yes, I actually spoke with Ashley at Connections for the Homeless, and that is something that she's actually very excited to be working with us on, as she has indicated several times that a lot of the men there are in need of these things. And so I told her it was an effort that we were willing to put together to do for the coat drive and just, anything that keep them warm in the winter. And she was all for it. So she said she's very excited to get the assistance from us moving forward. So what I'll try to do, I'm already in the process of getting items. I've had some people already donate some things, but I am asking for anyone who's in the chapter who may want to participate in that to go ahead and check your closet, see if there are any coats or anything that that you're not using or that you may want to just get rid of. It can be used by someone out there who is homeless and who is less fortunate and who doesn't have. We all know that Chicago gets very cold in the winter, so we can put that to good use. Also, I would like to task everyone with maybe reaching out to friends and family, et cetera, to see if they may have some items that they will be willing to donate as well. And then if they do, you can get that, and then I'll find a way to get it from you. And then either I'll take it there or I'll just bring it to Brother Matos to have it delivered.
And is there a time frame and a drop place for these items?
So if it's still working the same way that it worked when we were doing everything for the shoes, she did say that there's a specific drop off time, which I can actually provide that with to you guys once I take a look at it again, because I have it in my email. So she said that there's a specific time during the week, and I think I also sent that to Brother Matos because he did a drop off. So I'll have to look back over that just to be sure. I don't want to say anything that's incorrect right now, but I do have it in my email. So once I take a look at that, I can actually go and put that in Slack so that everybody can see it.
Yeah, so I was going to suggest once we know that, if you can put it in Slack so that we can coordinate the drop off and the collection and the drop off.
Absolutely.
That's it for me, Brother President.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Brother Whitaker. Just real quick, and we'll talk about it when we get to the IOTA new reactivation, but the code drive is actually working well with the plans that John and I talked about, but we'll share that in just a moment. So I like what's happening here. Brother Dobson, tell us how we doing with our money.
Money is looking great, brothers. We're at $4,405.20 in the bank account. That's in keeping with what we expected to see here. As brother said earlier, you'll see a 15% increase on the Unsmart items, and so we're hoping to have that done by December. Brother Davis, I realized I had this put in the bullet point, but they never actually typed it. I'll be in touch with you about if we want to do any like ornament-based or like holiday-based fundraisers through Unsmart for us. And so we can talk about that offline. But wanted to flag that for brothers that one of our fundraising opportunities will be a holiday-themed one. So you'll see information about that. Chapter membership reconciliation, as Brother Matos, Brother President, spoke about earlier. We have brothers that are transferring into the chapter, so we're trying to make sure that we're reconciled there. We are at the end of the year, and so you'll get an email soon about paying your dues for 2026 for your international and regional dues, and we'll send it out to brothers via email with the instructions on how to do that before we get to December's meeting so that you can plan accordingly. And speaking of December, we'll be presenting 2026's budget. Then for your review, we won't be voting on it in December, I don't believe, but we'll provide that for you for review so you can have that ample time to take that information in and to ask any questions that you see fit. And Brother President, I yield my time back to you.
Thank you so much, Brother Dobson. At this time, we would have had a report from our secretary, but as you know, he has another commitment tonight. So we're going to say no report for this meeting. Brother Bayano, did Brother Wise provide you with any report?
No, sorry, no, he did not. Yep.
Fantastic. All right, excellent. Just double checking.
Yeah.
All right, old business. The only old business we really have are the elections. So I am going to relinquish my responsibilities as chair of the meeting and pass them over to Brother Whitaker, because as I am running for re-election, per Robert's Rules of Order, it is inappropriate for the chair to chair a meeting while elections are taking place if he is also a candidate in this being nominated. So, Brother Whitaker, you are now the chair of this meeting.
Thank you, Brother Matos. And I was not actually the chair of the nominating committee. That was Brother Gillespie. But since he is indisposed this evening, he asked me to step in his stead. As brothers know, we have 5 brothers who are running for office. Those offices, however, are uncontested, so we have no opposition in any of the races. However, the members of the nominating committee, which includes myself, Brother Gillespie, Brother Bianu, and Brother Miller, did do our due diligence and interviewed each of the brothers who are running for either re-election or are changing positions. Those brothers are Brother Matos, Brother Davis, and Brother Wise, who are running for re-election to the offices of President, First Vice President, and Secretary, respectively. Brother Dobson is moving into the role, or is petitioning to move into the role of Second Vice President, and Brother Southerns is moving into the role of Treasurer. The current role that he occupies as Financial Secretary will be appointed at a later date by Brother President. I have put in the chat the ballots, which you should be able to see. Everybody let me know if you can see the link to the ballot. Yes? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Brother
Yeah.
Thompson. Thank you. Okay. Only the election is to include only brothers who are present and only financial brothers, as Brother President said, and Brother Davis confirmed. All of the brothers on this call are eligible to vote. You are all financial, and so if you would go to the ballot, cast your votes. The results will be sent to me, and we will announce the results, presuming there will be no surprises, but we will nevertheless announce the results after the brother enrichment part of the meeting. So brothers, do go and cast your ballots. And Brother President, I relinquish time back to you. I will come back after the ballots have all been cast.
Excellent.
Some brothers may need to log out the chapter account, like myself just did, who may be logged into the email, the Norfolk County email, because it's going to mess with the. It's going to not duplicate the response.
Excellent. About. Brother Whitaker, I it was unfortunate we didn't get a chance to hear the president's speech for re-election. Would have loved to hear that.
There's still time.
I promise to lower taxes, Brother Southern. I'm going to make North Cook County great again. That's what I'm.
Good one. Good one.
North of 290. North of 290. So, brothers, take a couple more minutes. And then we're going to proceed. All right, brothers. Let's get to, well, are we in a good place to move on? I just want to make sure I don't want to disenfranchise anyone.
I'm good. I cast my vote.
Yeah, I see what getting results in.
All right. So, brothers, I'm going to move us into the next part. If you're still voting, like, that's fine. So I want to talk about our Brotherhood Enrichment chat. And I'm going to lead this month, this meeting. And I want to talk about leading from where you're at, right? And I've been very reflective recently, not just as I had my interview for re-election, just other instances. Like I really think about leadership. So we're not going to talk about what leadership is and what it isn't. I have a fun activity for us to do because I really want to think about like what our leadership styles are. And also thinking about how do we see ourselves as leaders beyond positions. Because I think for me, the work that happens is more than just you holding a title, right? You can have a lot of influence. I mean, I'm gonna tell you a very interesting story. My first regional conference was in 2001, Western Region Conference. We were in Las Vegas. And there was an older brother sitting in the back. Now, he was knocked out. I mean, he was just out as a light. And I'm like, why is this guy just sleeping back here, right? I'm like, he's not even paying attention. And as the meeting progressed, right, something was happening and everybody looked to the back. You know, they wanted to get this one brother's approval, see what he thought about it. Everybody looked to the back. And the guy that they were looking towards was the brother that fell asleep in the back, right? And then once I got to know who he was, right, that was Honorable Brother Oscar Morgan, like the architect of the Western region, initiated through my undergraduate chapter. So, he was a pretty big deal there. And like something that really struck that what really struck to me was even though he was no longer in a role in a formal leadership role, like he still weighs some influence, right? Like he still had ability to really impact what was happening in the room. And so I think that really left a mark on me, which is why with some of the conversations that I have with you all, like I really try to inspire that in you and help you to think about that. So I really want to take a moment, think about that. One of the activities I would do with my students around leadership development. This one quote always stuck with me, right? Leadership is action, not position, right? And so I want us all to think about how do we make an impact in our chapter, in our fraternity, in our communities, but not necessarily relying on having to have the title. I am not saying going and do the work of somebody that's getting paid to do it, like also get your coins right. Like don't do someone else's work. But I do believe that there's a way in which you can do things. And I think for me that's always one of the challenges for me is I sit in different roles is that I can't, it's hard for me to accept I can't do this because, well, I know what the limitations are, but what is that we can do, right? And that's always the question for me. So one thing that I want us to do is it's an LPI, it's called the Leadership Practices Inventory, right? So these two guys came up with this. And it's a way to give you an idea of what kind of leadership style you have. And there are a lot of different inventories you can take. We're going to use this one because it's sort of like, I like this one. It's simple to use. And so there are three basic tenets to this. Right? So three principles to excellent leadership, right? So leadership is relationship, right? So you think about as I sit here in the role of president, and again, going back to like my interview and the things that made me reflect on, I'm always thinking about like the relationship that I have with each of you, right? And as your president, like I never stopped being president. Um, and so even look coming into this term, I was reminded more of that I'm always the president. So I have to think about that relationship. And so this is about influence. So if you have a good relationship with someone, then you're more likely to get them to buy into your vision and go to where it needs to go, right? Leadership is everyone's business. So that's this idea that it doesn't matter who you are, whether you're the president or a newly initiated brother. This whole idea of moving the enterprise forward, like that's everyone's business, right? Like the general brothers can't just look to the e-board to get stuff done. The e-board can't just look, we just can't look to, I just can't look to Brother Davis to do everything membership because that's the role that he holds, or, get stuff put on the calendar because that for Brother Wise to do that, because that's what the secretary does. I think I have to look at it as everybody. All of us have to be invested in leadership, whether we have a role or not. And the leadership development is personal development. That one is really important to me because as I deal with people, uh, given the last year and a half I've had in my life, it's become more apparent, right, that you can be in a leadership role, but really you can do certain things, but really your leadership is tied into who you are as a person, right? Like, are you aligned with your values and your morals in your personal life? Because if you're not, that probably is going to translate over into how you act as a leader. And that to me, I'm very big on that. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna drop in the chat the actual inventory, right? The LPI activity. What I want you all to do is take a few minutes to complete this. Take about 7 minutes or so to complete it. And let me know when you're done. All right, how are we doing on time?
I'm just
adding my
inputting
things
on
up
my
now, brother.
side. Yeah,
Okay.
just
All
adding
right.
it.
Not a problem.
So would you like for us to let you know when we're done or
Yeah, when you're done, let me know.
done?
Done as well.
All right. So
And I was looking to submit, but I don't see a submit button, so I'm just going to say done.
no, I love no, your submit button was just your acknowledgement. So if you had some challenge filling it out, my apologies. I will definitely send it to you via email so you can print it out and do it on your own. As you go through it, kind of listen to them, and then at the end we'll sort of talk about where you fall within here. So, all right. So you should look at your total scores, and they'll correspond with a different leadership style that we're going to talk about. If you happen to be tied, if you have a tie between any of them, just pick the one that you feel represents you the best, right? And one of the things to understand a bit about these kinds of assessments is that they're very like position specific, right? Like it's very specific to like the thinking about the way in which you're answering these, right? So maybe if you're a dad, it might look a little different than if you're the president, than if you're a volunteer or so, for thinking about your different roles. So, and also know that it will change, right? Like wherever you are now, it may change if you take it a year from now, 2 years from now, so forth, because of different experiences of where you at. So these corresponds with the following. So if the first one, MTW, is called Model the Way, right? And if you are one of those folks who are model the way, you are all about setting that example. You want to achieve the small wins, and you're about finding your voice and clarifying your values. So did anyone here score the highest under Model the Way? All right. The next one is Inspiring a Shared Vision. So these are the folks that envision an uplifting future. They enlist others in a common vision, and then they're leading people by getting them to see what you see as possible. Is there anybody here who scored the highest on Inspire a Shared Vision?
I did. I was tied. This was tied for mine.
Okay, all right. So what? All right. So you'll tell us what the other one you tied as we move along. All right.
Okay.
So the next one is Challenge the Process. These folks are searching for opportunities. They're experimenting. They are experimenting and taking risks. And they're not just complaining, but coming up with better ideas and selling them well. Anybody score high in Challenge the Process? All right. The next one is Enabling Others to Act. So this person fosters collaboration. They're about strengthening other people, and they're about promoting goals and building trust. Did anyone here score highest on enabling others to act?
I did. Me.
I did as well.
All right, okay, Brother Groves, Brother Dobson. Brother Dobson, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
So you tied with Inspire Shared Vision, Inspire Shared Vision, and with enabling others to act. Of those two, which one do you think it describes you the best at this junction in life? Brother Dobson?
Sorry. I was talking and didn't mute. I would say enable others to act is, I think, where I'm at mostly tonight, like in this current stage of life.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Brother Whitaker, you unmute yourself. Did you have one?
Yeah, those are the two that I tied with as well. Inspire shared vision and enabling others to act. I'm probably closer to enabling others to act than, which is both a positive and negative in my leadership style. But yeah, that's probably where I am more aligned.
Excellent. Look at that. That's fantastic. All right. Then we have the last one is encouraging the heart. So encouraging the heart is about recognizing individual contributions, celebrating team accomplishments, and creating team spirit and positive feelings. Did anybody score the highest in encouraging the heart? So here's what I can tell you for me. When I was on the campus side dealing with students, I continuously will score the highest under encouraging the heart, which I found that very fascinating because, I'm like a Sour Patch Kid, right? But actually I was really good at it, probably because I had to deal with students. Now I'm at a place where actually challenging the process is the one that I scored the highest. And I think it is reflective of where I am at now in this juncture of my life and career. So we talked about all this. let me ask you this. Why do you think it's important for us to understand just sort of like that default setting for us in terms of our leadership style?
Well, I think it's situational. If you're in a surrounding where people are dependent upon you for encouragement, if you are way off course and you're not offering that strength, you need to reassess yourself a little bit. But it's also, I think it's a good self-check to understand your developmental needs or the needs of your team may have on you.
Brother Groves, that is fantastic, and I really appreciate what you say. Because here's what I got from your statement. There are two parallel processes happening here, right? One is if you understand, for example, that you have team members who are all about encourage the heart, they value recognition, right? But they probably also value being recognized for what they're doing, right? And so I think it's important to understand that, right? And if you're like that kind of person, you're focused on the task and getting things done, and you just assume because you're getting paid to do this that you should just be happy because your paycheck is your reward, your recognition. That may not work as well, right? And so as a leader, we all got to understand that. The other part that you said is in you understanding your leadership style and the things that you value, then you can better express that to your team members, right? Because I may not know that, right? If you're sitting here, you're not saying that you appreciate being recognized.
Right.
And for some people, that's kind of weird to say, oh, I like being recognized because of whatever constructs around professionalism that we have created. But I think that's important. Brother Whitaker, you unmuted yourself.
Yeah, because I thought it was really astute what Brother Grove said about leadership happening in context because, or being situational, because leadership does present itself and express itself within the context of the organization. All organizations are not the same, and this, no matter what your leadership style may be, you still have to adapt to the people, to some extent, to the people you are leading and to the context that you are leading in. And so various aspects of your leadership style may have to express itself depending upon the context that you're leading in. So I appreciate Brother Groves for mentioning that.
Absolutely. And also think about, right, that part of, because I really hate when people say, well, in my old job, well, if you like your old job so much, maybe you can go back to it because this is not your old job, right? Like nobody wants to hear that. And I'm not saying you don't bring in some good practice, best practices and fit practices, but you have to take each situation for what it is at that point in time. Brother Southers, you unmuted yourself, sir.
I think for me, two parts. One, I don't know how to get my scores. That's the first part. The second part, doing the exercise did help me to understand where I may need some room for improvement without even knowing the scores. Just by being honest with myself, if it's a 5 or 8 or 9, or can I get to a 10? I'm happy to say I didn't have anything less than a 5, but I did not see how to total up the points. I'm still trying to figure that out.
Sure. Brother Davis, you unmuted yourself.
Yep. I like exercises like these because they allow you to be realistic. You get the most out of it when you're realistic with your answers and doing your self-inventory. I think that when you start to look at your leadership styles and things like that, you have to accept that you must become bilingual. All of these different areas, as you all mentioned, it's based on context and the situation. And so you have to become bilingual and know when to speak that language over there, even though you have your primary language. And with this assessment, you learn where you're not as proficient in these other languages, and that's perfectly fine. And my encouragement to brothers, y'all, if y'all know me, y'all know this is right up my alley. But I encourage you to become students of this, of learning about yourself, leadership, and how to relate to other people, because you'll get better at those different languages, which I think are super important if you want to be an effective leader.
And Brother so absolutely, Brother Davis, it is like learning to speak different languages. because that's essentially what it is in terms of how people understand. But Brother Cyrus, I'm gonna offer something to you. I went to a conference once and I heard the speaker. They talked about how they, they would spend so much time trying to work on things that they were not good at. And they decided to stop doing that because they realized they were investing time into trying to become mediocre at something that they just were not going to do very good at, right? And so I don't mean, I'm not saying like, oh, I don't like being around people. So no, that's not what I'm saying at all, right? Like, let's be respectful. Let's learn to practice some kindness. But you know that if maybe doing big picture thing is not your strong suit, like that's fine. And you can find someone within your team that actually is good and you can ask for that help and support, right? One thing that they also said was that they rather invest their time enhancing the things that they are already good at to make them even greater and use those to balance those other areas. So I think for you, Brother Sars, I really appreciate what you're saying. I think because this is you assessing yourself, sometimes we may be too liberal or we may be too harsh on ourselves, right? So I really want you to think through that and just be, give yourself some grace and just go through it. But just realize that if there's an area where maybe you're not ever going to be the best at, if you keep trying to improve it, I will probably say think about how you can work with the other talents and skills and things that make you great in other areas and help those even you out here so that you can actually find a place where you actually feel successful and you set yourself up to feel satisfied in your growth and development as a leader. So, brothers, I really appreciate this conversation. I want to encourage us to continue to have these as we go on, because it's not just a one-time thing, but I really want us to take this as we're talking about elections and moving into different roles and other opportunities. I want all the brothers to think about how they, even if time does not allow you to serve in a formal role, how can you still be a leader and help to influence and guide the chapter forward, even from whatever place you're actually sitting at? So, and in closing, remember, leadership is action, not position, all right? And always remember that position depends on the context in which you are standing in, all right? So thank you very much, brothers. Let's move on now to our committees and special reports.
Brother President, may I give the election results now?
Oh my gosh, yes, please.
Not to keep everyone in suspense, but 13 ballots were cast and all of the candidates were elected unanimously with no abstentions.
Awesome. So to the brothers that have stepped into leadership roles, thank you so much. To the chapter, I want to say thank you for believing in us. Somebody asked me about my interview and I said I was really nervous going into it. And yes, I was the only person running, but it's still, I'll never take this for granted. So I'm not going to say that I speak on behalf of all the other e-board members, but I do want to say that knowing who they are, what I like about this group, the chapter in general, they don't take this for granted, right? Like we really do appreciate this and value your trust. I also will be remiss if I did not thank Brother Whitaker for stepping in to be our second vice president. What I think he contributed, I think, infinitely, and that has really made a great, profound impact in the establishment of the chapter is his experience in the fraternity, but also his experience professionally and just being at a place that I think for me as a younger brother and younger professional try to get into, like just being able to remind us of what's important, how to prioritize those things, how to deal with that, and just really calling onto us to be really brothers that are aligned with the values of the fraternity, and how do we do it in our own way without really us tripping over ourselves. So Brother Whitaker, thank you so much for your leadership and continued guidance.
Thank you very much, Brother Matos. It was my pleasure to be on the inaugural executive board, and I look forward to contributing whatever I can in the future to the chapter.
Of course, you already know you're our strategic partnerships person. We're gonna look to expand that. So thank you very much, and thank you to the committee, and especially Brother Gillespie, who is not here, but I know that he really took it, ran it, and made it his own. And listen, this is not rocket science, and it can be challenging if you don't understand what you're doing. And Brother Gillespie really made this look effortless. So I want to thank him for really setting such a high bar with this. So, all right, let's go into our special committee reports. So Black spend, we still at the same amount as last time. Our Brotherhood Enrichment Chat Committee, we'll have more updates next meeting. If you have any ideas for a topic that you would like us to have, just let us know. Brother Rosado, you still here? Let me check the chat. Is he still here? Yes, he is. Brother Rosado, can you tell us about our upcoming activity, which is, yeah.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. So for the November Brotherhood Engagement event, it's going to be at the Tortoise Supper Club. The link to RSVP is located in the agenda that Brother President put in the chat earlier in the meeting. So please complete the RSVP if you're planning to attend by the end of Monday, which will be November 3rd, just so I can get an accurate head count. Once I do, I'll go and make a reservation for Saturday, November 22nd. My goal is to try to get a reservation between the 7:30 p.m., 8 p.m. hour, because every Saturday they do a live jazz concert performance, from 8 p.m. to 11:30. So hopefully we can get a table at a good time so we can listen to some live jazz while we're having our Brotherhood Engagement event. There's also free valet before and after the show. And information on the location and along with the menu is also located in the RSVP. There's a link to the website for more information there. And according to Brother Gillespie, who has visited Tortoise Supper Club before in the past, he said that the attire is around business casual. So just a heads up for folks that are planning to attend. So yeah, looking forward to the brothers that are able to attend. Thank you for those that have already RSVP'd. But please, if you're planning on attending, please complete the RSVP by the end of tomorrow. And I'll make a Slack announcement just as a friendly reminder about that deadline. So yep, that's all.
Hey, Brother Rosado, just to add something to what you just said, because I was actually just there last week myself. The parking is still going to be like, we're going to have to pay for valet. It's for before or after the event, but if we're dining in during that hour, we still will have to pay. So just something to note there.
Thank you, Brother Marshbanks.
Yeah, Brother Marshbank, thank you so much for that clarification. All right, brother, so it's on the agenda, so just make sure you click the link and register if you can go. All right, I'm meeting with Brother Craig this week, and we'll have more about our mental health initiatives. I have not had a chance to meet with Brother Fincher, so that's on me, but we'll get something together with him for our Sigma Cares Committee. So in terms of the reactivation for Iota Nu, I met with Brother, so we did meet with Fraternity Sorority Life at Northwestern. They were very receptive and they will help us out. So as I figured they would, I met with Brother Baker, I'm sorry. Brother John Baker to come up with some plans. Here's some of the things that we talked about. Well, the first one we already planned, which was a game night with Zeta Phi Beta, new Sigma chapter at Northwestern. It was well attended. It was a good first effort for us to be there, to be seen, connect with the students there. We talked about doing a clothing drive on November 3rd. So this really works out. That's why I said the coat drive actually works very well. So we can just turn that into a coat. We can do coat drive, clothing drive kind of thing. And so we just talked about using some locations on campus to get that coordinated. So just planning that out. And then we're going to sort of use, I want to use the December 14th event we have with the Zetas from Evanston, just as a way to include that as part of the events that we're doing. There's no sense in trying to reinvent the wheel. It's right there in Evanston. So if students can attend, that's great. I know that's probably already with funds that may be leaving, but at least we can let them know what's happening so that at least they know that the Sigmas are doing something in the community. And then I still got to figure out if we want to do a finals relaxing event. That may or may not happen, but I'm gonna talk to the source to see if that actually will resonate and make sense. Otherwise, we're not gonna press ourselves for that. But that's sort of like where we're at right now. It's an iterative process. And we'll be getting together to do some more plans, especially for the spring. And while I'm at it, and I see you, Brother Sons, I'm acknowledging just a moment for your question. I do want to thank the brothers from the chapter who attended the event. I know Brother Fancher was there, Brother Miller, Greg Miller was there, Brother Gillespie, Brother Southerns came, Brother Craig came, and of course, Brother Baker was there. And then we had two visiting brothers. One who actually has not been active, but is joining our chapter. And so really good showing for the Sigmas. And so we look forward to seeing what other activities that we can get going to make this happen. So Brother Southerns, I saw you raise your hand, and I see you, Brother Whitaker. So Brother Southerns, what did you want to say?
Just question, you mentioned the clothing drive November 3rd, which is tomorrow. Is that correct? Or are you
Those were the
planning
10.
to
Yeah. They're
the
10.
tentative? Okay.
Where he and I talked, that was tentative of what we were looking at, but there's some logistical things. And Abby, the person in Northwest, the fraternity sorority life was out for the week. So that's just going to get pushed back. But that's why I said tentative. But that's a good call.
Okay.
Brother Whitaker, I saw you want to say something.
I just had a question. Do we know how much interest there is on campus? Because the new rule at Northwestern is that for any Greek organization to remain viable and recognized by the university, they must have at least 5 members, and they must keep 5 members at all times. And so I just keep that in mind as we are talking about reactivating out anew.
And so that is actually a great call out. So Keith had told me about this. So we had some chat about that. When I spoke to Abby, that was a question that I asked her, does Northwestern have a minimum for us to get it reactivated? And how would that work for Iota Noon if we're not able to? So she said that that's one of those things that we can have conversations about in terms of what that would look like for that support. But your question is actually spot on, and that was something that I know that John and I talked briefly, especially with Abby. But we're definitely that is something that we're keeping an eye out for to think about how we're going to navigate. All right. Any other questions regarding our efforts to reactivate Iota Noon at Northwestern? All right, brothers. So just know that when that time comes, we'll be calling upon you, especially those of you that have that younger energy, because listen, I feel real old around those students. I say, my God, I never thought I felt that way, but here we are. In terms of new business, no, that we don't we don't have any new business. Or do we? Let me double check this. No new business. All right. So just some updates from the international level. Join the Federal Credit Union. Always going to encourage that one. Of course, we already talked about Come Back Home. If you're in the Great Lakes region, if their membership is in the Great Lakes region, it's $312.50. Excuse me. And just so you know, DC finally approved the fraternity's rent supplement housing contract, which is one of those steps to get the fraternity closer to closing on the deal to erect the new headquarters. For those that may not have heard the updates, the fraternity is going to turn down 145 Kennedy Street, the current headquarters, and in its place is going to build a 35 affordable housing unit building, which is not Section 8. And if you are familiar with affordable housing in DC, the regulations that they have is not as affordable as you think it is because of the income restrictions. But that's what we're doing. So I think it's 5 levels. On the 4 or 5 levels above, it'll be the affordable housing units. The first level, I think, is like a 9,000 square foot headquarters office space that we're going to have. So we have been on this journey since 2021. So we're finally getting to that point. So That's it from the international level.
Quick question,
Mm-hmm.
just out of curiosity. Will we own the building? Would it be ours? Because I see it says contract. Would it be our building? Um, can you share that or no?
Oh my gosh. It's an interesting question and one that has sparked hot debate among some brothers. Because the answer in short is yes. And the way it's going to be done, which I know the white fraternities do this, so it's not so news to me in terms of that, but it's interesting nonetheless. It would the official ownership would be under a nonprofit that was created, so that if ever someone comes after the fraternity, they can come after Phi Beta Sigma's assets, but not the headquarters, because the headquarters wouldn't technically belong to the fraternity. Of course, there's been some questions around that, because then there are questions around ownership and how much does the fraternity owe, how much control do they have. And I would say, objectively speaking, I know that some of our leaders have been upright about things, but I think that the work that has been done has kind of been mired by the fact that some of the leaders have not explained things clearly or transparently. So there's some air of distrust around brothers with certain things. And after the last live stream board meeting, I definitely understand where that's coming from, and I think it is well founded. So does that answer your question, Brother Southerns?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Just as a follow-up, Brother President, does that mean that a separate 501c3 is going to be formed to govern the headquarters, and what is its mission? Does that mean it's a housing organization? Is that where the affordable housing aspect comes from? And again, there's a separate governing board that's supposed to be detached from the fraternity. I know, again, I don't want to take us too far down. I'm just trying to understand a little bit of what's happening here.
Well, fortunately, since I don't know that much, since I don't understand the full details, we're not going to go that deep down that rabbit hole. Well, we would if I did. But to answer your question, the 501c3 has already been established. It's called Left On Founders. They have their own bylaws and everything. So like the president, first vice, and the treasurer are automatic, leaders within that as well. And then they appoint 2 additional directors to that. There's the whole criteria and everything, so that's already been set up.
And what is the mission of that entity?
That is to manage the property.
Yeah,
So it's a housing organization. I mean, a not-for-profit can't be a management company. I mean, it can be a management company, but if it's a not-for-profit, it's supposed to have some mission that is for the greater good, which is how you get your non-for-profit status.
But depends on the. All right, so here's what I'm gonna say.
Again, don't even try to answer. We do this some other time.
But I'm gonna answer your question though. It's the nonprofit is set up, and there's a couple of other pieces there, and I'd be happy to get clarity to bring to the brothers, because you asked a great question, and I hate not fully being able to explain it. But essentially, the nonprofit is sort of like that owner on paper of the headquarters. They won't do the property management themselves. They're going to have a property management company that's going to do the property management piece. And I think this also has to do with who owns the credits and everything. In terms of like that affordable housing unit, that was done as a way to get tax credits from Washington, D.C., which would then offset the cost of us, what we're going to spend on putting this together and so forth. That's how that whole thing came about. I mean, given the size of 145 Kennedy Street, like it sort of makes sense to be able to have it, because it's pretty big space for those who've seen it. But that's actually a great question. Let me ask somebody to give me some bullet points in terms of what that looks like. Because as much time as I heard it, yeah. So there we have it. Well, that's a great questions. I appreciate y'all asking, brothers. In terms of the Great Lakes region, the conference is April 8th through the 12th in Detroit. So I'm sure that Brother David is going to be there, because it's Detroit versus everybody, and that's the Phi Beta Sigma versus everybody. It's going to be a good time there at the conference. And then the Makeup Academy for the officers is this Wednesday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. The link is actually in the agenda. And so I just asked those of us that are in leadership, that got elected to leadership roles, I really would like for you to attend this and get certification. This is a precursor to, well, I don't know who's going to be over membership and training, who's going to do this, but the idea was to have this be something that gets rolled down and eventually grows into, if you want to serve in the leadership role, you got to have this like leadership academy certification type thing. So please sign up for it, and it's going to be a great time. So that's that with that. If you have any questions, does anybody have any questions before I move on? All right, excellent. And this also applies to any brother that would like to pursue regional, not regional, but an officer position next time. We've talked the previous e-board talked, and we say we are not creating barriers for anybody to become leaders within the chapter. We do want to provide you with opportunities to prepare yourself for leadership. And that's what one of these things, that's what this, one of those steps towards that. So, state of Illinois, actually, no, we don't, well, just IOTA new reactivation, that's that. This is the event that we have with the Zetas. One of the things that we talked about was the chapter. We asked Brother Davis or Brother Dobson, remind me, how much money did we say we wanted to contribute and were we going to ask the chapter?
Brother Southerns and I are going to split the $100, sending $50 a piece.
All right.
That's correct.
All right. Thank you very much. So, brothers, the event on December 14th, we'll send more information as we get closer to it. So Brother Southerns and Brother Dobson have both agreed to, out of their own budgets, to their own personal budgets, not chapter, but their own personal budgets, pay the $100 for the co-sponsorship, which we didn't have to do. The Zetas would have been okay with that, but we all thought that it'd just be a good move, good look, and to reciprocate and support them in that way. So thank you for that, brothers. I don't have anything from MPAC. Chicago I Mentor, we started back up again. That's going very well. We have our next event on Tuesday. And so we're just excited about this. Just Brother Wise and I, we have 2 seniors that we're coaching through this process to get to college. So fun adventures. Any informal discussion, good or welfare for the brothers?
We'll celebrate my 40th anniversary in Phi Beta Sigma on November 25th.
Look at that. Shout out to 40 years, yo. I'm trying to get to that point one day. How does it feel? How does it feel to not look back and like you were a Neo yesterday, now you're at 40 years? How does that
feels old. Because there are brothers on this call who were not born then.
Well, Charles, I
Just
think
shy.
I'm older than
Shy.
you on that case. So
Now, Brother Groves, when were you initiated?
1981.
My gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, I don't even remember 81, okay?
That's okay.
But Brother Whitaker, happy early Sigma-versary to you. For the brothers who don't know, Brother Whitaker, like he's not one of those brothers that say, you know, I've been in the frat at mostly because of the years. He really put in some work and we really appreciate it. He's in fact one of the past editors of the Crescent magazine. And so I'm just excited to have him in the chapter and to know. I wish more of our old school brothers were like him, just like super cool, got the experience, but don't gotta remind you that they did this, that, and the others. Like, bro, you told me this like every meeting. Like, I don't think you need to tell me that again. But it is what it is. So anyways, Brother Whitaker, thank you very much for your service in Sigma. All right, we're gonna celebrate this, brother, y'all. So other than that, any announcements? I do. My Bulls are 6-0. Oh, 5-0. Hopefully they make it 6-0 tonight, but we'll see. But if you want to go to a Bulls game, let me know.
Quick,
I have an announcement.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Just in reference to that I mentor opportunity, the reason I've been kind of out of pocket, I guess, the last few months, I took on a new role at iMentor as deputy director, and I've been looking for the window to make sure I promoted the new recruitment season. I know Brother Matos and Raymond are already mentors, but if any other individual is interested to support a senior or a junior, the deadline is November 21st. I can send all of the information, but obviously mentorship is really important. If you feel like you have questions about it, reach out to me, but I'll send that information uh, right after the call.
And just with that, Brother Bayan, I just want to add to that. Brothers, it's actually super easy. There's a monthly event. If you can't make it, like you just let them know in their schedule, online event. There's a platform, an app that you actually use to communicate with the student. They provide you a couple of meetings here and there spread out throughout the year. Like they are super chill, right? Like they do not involve, of course they ask you to be committed, but it's not a burden on your time. So if you have like 3 hours a month, discretionary hours that you can, like 2 hours to show up to the event, like just a 1 hour time to be able to communicate and do stuff with the students, I highly encourage you to do it. It's a really great experience, and the students appreciate it. So, Brother Davis,
Yeah, I wanted to follow up on something I put into the Slack, was related to the bookstore up in Evanston, Zora's Place. So I dropped that in the chat, the Slack. I went up there with my daughter yesterday. So it's in the Evanston Ox. If you've never been, it's like a collaborative co-op space. There's a commercial kitchen, there's laundry services, podcast equipment, rental space, all that in there. So we went to the bookstore. It's a sister that owns it. It's a feminist bookstore, so that gives you a sense of the books. I took my daughter. We had a great time. I talked to the owner. She said that they are friendly for like book clubs and meetups, and she told me what their rate would be for that. So if we ever want to look for something, something like that, that bookstore is there. And if we wanted to have a book club event or something, she's open to that as well. So.
all right. So let's talk about doing a book club, Brother Davis. Is that something we can bring to the chapter for the next meeting so we can sort of think about that and see how we can go and support the space and use it. One of the things that I shared with you, and we can talk about doing our e-board meeting so we can bring something back to the chapter to consider. How do we go about doing more? Like, I want us to support adopt Black businesses and like support them, but beyond just going there and spending money, like what are some other things that we can provide, especially local businesses that may not be at a place where they can scale their labor to get some additional things done. So how do we lend our talents to them to do so? And if any brothers know of Black businesses that are within our service area that are not just Evanston, because the other part I want to be sensitive to is that I don't want Evanston to be that convenience, that I think let's find some other areas within our service area, right? That we can show up to and support in some capacity. So, all right, brothers. And with that, you see all the events that we have coming up. We have the chapter meetings. And with that, I adjourn this meeting at 6:30 p.m.
That's peak efficiency.
Yeah.
And my wife just brought me dinner, so perfect timing.
Look at that, an hour and a half. An hour and a half. I told you, we turned over a new leaf over here. Which is because at least are still
Quick question for you though, Brother President.
yes.
On the agenda, it has our email as North Cook Country. Is that correct?
Now, Willie, you know that's not correct.
No, I want to make sure before, because I'm trying to send money from another place, and I'm typing what I'm seeing, and I just want to make sure that I'm sending it to the right place.
Oh, definitely not. It's North Cook County.
County. Okay. All right. I just want to make sure.
Well, but I'm glad you said something. That's been fixed. All right, brothers. Well, I want to thank you all for the time. And we will see you at the next chapter meeting, which is virtual. I want us to start thinking about what do we want to do for Founders Day. I know that kind of sometimes sneaks up on us. Recognizing that Brother Davis' birthday is on Founders Day, so maybe we can celebrate a little after the night, a little before the night. Some brothers can go out together on the night. But I still would like for us to do something that allows all brothers to actually join the fellowship to celebrate Founders Day. We don't got to talk about that now, but let's bring some ideas for the next meeting and finalize something. So if there isn't anything else, brothers, I want to bid you all a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, brothers.
Have a
Good
good night,
night.
brothers.
Safe out here.